Hello, 8th graders. We are now in Chapter 3. Chapter 3 covers parallel and perpendicular lines. Both concepts you've covered before. We're going to take your prior knowledge of concepts and we're going to incorporate it into proofs and other things in geometry that you have not covered. So we're going to start with Section 3.1, Lines and Angles. So we're going to start talking about 4 vocab words: parallel, perpendicular, and skew lines. So, let's start with parallel lines. You already know this, but right here, parallel lines. Parallel lines, notice right here that that is the symbol for parallel. So, we would say parallel lines are coplanar and do not intersect. They are on the same plane and they do not intersect. So in the figure, if we're looking at the figure, line AB and line EF would be parallel. Now notice we have 2 little red arrows. That indicates that they are parallel. Also, we can see that EG and FH, these lines are also parallel. So we have 2 arrows. And the reason why they are not the same is because up here they're parallel. If you used 1 arrow on each of these, you're saying that all 4 are parallel, which is not true. Perpendicular lines, you know, are lines that intersect at 90-degree angles. Here is the symbol for perpendicularity. In the figure, we can say that these 2 lines, AB and AE, are perpendicular. Line EG and line GH are also perpendicular. Now, skew lines. Skew lines are not coplanar. Skew lines are not parallel and do not intersect. So if you look at the figure, line AB and line EG are skew. Notice that this one is vertical and this one is AB, but it's behind this. So they're never going to intersect, ever. They're not in the same plane. So it's important to note that they are not parallel and they do not intersect. Parallel planes are planes that do not intersect. In the figure, plane ABE, which is the top part of this box, is parallel to plane CDG, which is in the bottom part. Arrows are used to show that line AB is parallel to line EF, and line EG and line FH are also parallel. So notice that we use these arrows as I just told you. Those arrows indicate that lines are parallel. So let's look at example number 1. In example number 1, we want to identify each of the following. So if we look at our picture of a house of cards or a deck of cards that's been stacked together, let's start by naming a pair of parallel segments. So if we look at our picture, parallel segments, there are numerous answers you could give me. We could say segment NS, and we label it as is parallel to segment MR. Now we could also say that KN and LM, those segments are parallel. We could say segment KP and segment LQ are parallel. There are numerous answers that we could actually say. B, a pair of skew lines. So pick any segment you would like. So a pair of skew segments, sorry. So let's pick segment right here, KN. Give me another segment that would be skew with that. So KN, we could say, now we can't say NS because they intersect right here. We can't say KP because it intersects. But I can say segment MR. Notice that right here, KN and MR, they're not parallel they're never going to intersect, and they're not even in the same plane. C, a pair of perpendicular segments. Here's a perpendicular intersection. So we could say segment NS is perpendicular to segment SR. And then D, a pair of parallel planes. You could say plane. Let's do the top, which is KLM, is parallel to plane. The bottom, PQR. There would be examples of all 4 of those. The next 5 vocab words are all kinds of angles that are formed by a transversal. So, if we have 2 coplanar lines, so here's, if you're looking at this picture, lines R and S. A transversal is a line that intersects those 2 coplanar lines at 2 different points. The transversal, T, and the other 2 lines, R and S, form 8 angles. Now, lines R and S, once again, are coplanar, and the transversal, which is T, intersects them at 2 points, and they form 8 different angles. Corresponding angles are angles that lie on the same side of the transversal, which is T, and on the same sides of lines R and S. I kind of look at it as angles that are in the same position. So, angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding. Angle 4 and angle 8 are corresponding. Angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding. Alternate interior angles are non-adjacent angles. That means angles that are not next to each other, that lie on opposite sides of the transversal between or inside lines R and S. So if you look in this picture, the interior are these 4 angles, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alternate means on opposite sides of the transversal. So we could say angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior, and angle 4 and angle 5 are alternate interior. Alternate exterior is the same premise, but now they're on the exterior of the 2 lines R and S. So we could say angle 1 and angle 8 are alternate exterior, angle 2 and angle 7 are alternate exterior. Same side interior angles, or consecutive interior angles, lie on the same side of the transversal T between lines R and S. So they're just not on the opposite side. So 3 and 5 are same side interior, and 4 and 6 are same side interior. So in example 2, let's classify pairs of angles. Give an example of each angle pair. So if you draw this picture down right here, let's use our lightsaber. So now, 2A, I want you to give me an example of corresponding angles. Actually, let's name them all. One corresponding set of corresponding angles would be angle 1 and angle 5. The next one, angle 2, and which angle would go with angle 2? Angle 6. Angle 3 and angle 7, and angle 4 and angle 8. Alternate interior, remember, alternate interior. We have 4 interior angles here, 4, 3, 5, and 6. Alternate means on opposite sides of the transversal. So alternate interior would be angle 4 and angle 6, and angle 3 and angle 5. Alternate exterior. Now we look at the exterior angles. We could say angle 1 and angle 7, or angle 2 and angle 8. And lastly, same side interior angles. Angle 4 and angle 5, because they're on the same side of the transversal, and angle 3 and angle 6. So those would be listing all of the angles that are given here. In our last example, I want you to identify the transversal and classify each pair. So here's what we're going to do. In A, you are given two angles, angle 1 and angle 5. So here's angle 1, here's angle 5. I want you to determine which transversal makes those and classify what kind of angles they are. So here's a hint. To determine which line is the transversal for a given angle pair, locate the line that connects their vertices. So here's angle 1, here's a vertice, here's angle 5, here's a vertice. That connects them, that would be transversal N. So for A, transversal N, and what angles are they? Well, here's lines L and line M are intersected by transversal N. So we have the 8 angles. So 1 and 5 would be, they're on inside and on alternate sides of the transversal. So they would be alternate interior angles. So what about angle 3 and angle 6? Here's the vertice of angle 3, here's the vertice of angle 6. Connects them as transversal M. What angles are formed between angles 3 and angle 6? It would be corresponding angles. And lastly, angle 1 and angle 4. Here's the vertices, the transversal that connects them would be transversal L. And since they're on opposite sides of the transversal and on the exterior, they would be alternate exterior angles. Your vocabulary for this section, section 3.1, includes parallel lines, perpendicular lines, skew lines, parallel planes, transversal, corresponding angles, alternate exterior angles, alternate interior angles, and same side interior angles.